Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my most humble obeisances to you. I'm very happy to see you here in our Tattva-sandarbha seminar. It's great mercy of our acharyas that they gave us this knowledge about Krishna, about bhakti, about how to understand him. And we are going to study first of the 6 sandarbhas of Srila Jiva Goswami. It's called Tattva-sandarbha. And in whole, all those 6 sandarbhas, they are called Bhagavata-sandarbha, which means sandarbha which is related to Supreme Lord, Bhagavan, and then to the book which is describing him, Bhagavata Purana or Srimad Bhagavatam, as we know it now. And therefore, we'll see just little later how it's interconnected. Krishna book about him and bhakti as the means how to understand him. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti mam abhijanati yavanis chasmi tatvadaha. To understand me as I am, one can only by bhakti, by devotional service. And that's why, first of all, I wanted to say that the book itself is extremely complicated. Many of you maybe have read first part of the book, which is called Prameya Kanda, which establishes what is the absolute truth, what are the most reliable means of knowledge, and like many seminars were there. But I remember how when I was studying Tattva-sandarbha in our Srimad Bhagavata Vidyapitham school under Gopiparanhana Prabhu, how I was amazed that the second part, Pramana Kanda, is even more interesting. It's yes, so many important details, so many important conclusions. And Srila Jiva Goswami in the Mangalacharana he says that Yash Krishna Padam Bhoja Bhajanaya Kabila Shavantanaiva Drishatam Etan Anyasmaya Kshipator Pitaha, that he allows to study that book only to those who have Krishna Bhajana Ega Abhilashavan, Shri Krishna Padam Bhoja, to only those who wants to practice pure devotional service to Krishna. So that's why that should be our main motive or main desire while approaching this book. Otherwise, Anyasmaya Kshipator Pidaha, Jiva Goswami, he says that he curses everyone else who wants to attend to read these books, to study these books with some ulterior motives. And first of all, I wanted to excuse myself because I'm not English native speaker, and I feel that my pronunciation maybe is not as perfect as it should be, that my knowledge of English might not be as perfect as it should be. I will try my best because I used to preach and teach mostly in Russian language. So therefore, for me, the seminar it's even more complicated maybe for you than for you, because like I have to pray double time. It's not just to convey the meaning of the shastras, not just to speak it in such a way so that Jiva Goswami don't curse you, not overshadow or eclipse bhakti, pure devotional service, in favor of just speaking some logical conclusions or some kind of theoretical knowledge. It's very complicated itself, but especially it's complicated for me because I'm speaking on English language. Somehow I accustomed to speak in Russian and Sanskrit, like mixed Russian and Sanskrit. So therefore I have to speak in English Sanskrit. and it's a little bit difficult for me. So that's why, please, if you feel that it's difficult to understand what I'm speaking, please write it in the chat or raise your hand. I will try to speak slowly, distinctly, and also I will try to pray to Krishna, to Saraswati Devi, to Shrimati Radharani, so that they use my ability to speak in English language in such a way so that you could understand me, what I want to convey to you. So please understand me that I'm very much anxious how I will be able to give you everything Jiva Goswami wants to give you. My aim is just to try to share my experience of studying Shastras, how it helps us in our devotional service. And the most important technology of how to understand Shastras is by bhakti, by devotion. And devotion starts from the prayer. So therefore, I would like to offer prayers to our Guru Parampara, to Śrīmad Bhagavatam, to all our previous acharyas in the beginning of our session of Shri Tattva-sandarbha. Because without their mercy, everything is impossible. It just read how Srila Rupa Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita in 19th chapter of the Madhya Lila, how Lord Chaitanya empowered Srila Rupa Goswami. Krishna Tattva, Bhakti Tattva, Rasa Tattva Pranta, Sarva Bhagavata Siddhanta. It is said that he's got all Bhagavata Siddhanta, all the conclusions of Śrīmad Bhagavatam, which are categorized in three ways. Krishna Tattva, Sambandha Tattva, Bhakti Tattva or Abhidaya Tattva, and Rasa Tattva or Prayojana Tattva. Pranta, this word is used in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that he understood it to the highest extent. Practically, it's impossible to understand Krishna. But the mystery of devotional service, of bhakti, this yoga maya potency, is Ghatana Karini, that she can impossible things make possible. So that's why, although it's impossible to understand Krishna as he is, Tattvataha, but by bhakti, by devotion, by constant prayers, we can do it. We can try to understand him to that extent to which he reveals himself to such a sincere devotee. So that's why the topic is very complicated. The situation is very how to say, tough, because we are living in Kali Yuga. Manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya hubadrutah. It is said that in Kali Yuga, people are very lazy to study scriptures, to try to understand Krishna. Manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya hubadrutah. And they are not fortunate enough to get an association of pure devotees of Krishna's. Those devotees who are not just logicians or jnanis, but those devotees who are bhaktas, who have taken complete shelter from Krishna. Like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, I'm sorry, this is Sharanagati introductory bhajan by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He says, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jividoya Kori Swaprashada Nitya Dhama Saha Avatari Atyanta Durlabha Prema Kari Baridana Shikhaya Sharanagati Bhakatara Prana. He says that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jividoya Kori, in order to give his mercy to jivas, living entities in this material world, Swaprashada Nitya Dhama Saha Avatari. He came along with his prashadas, his associates, and also he revealed or manifested his Nitya Dhama, his eternal abode in this material world. But for what purpose? Atyanta Durlabha Prema Kari Baridana, to give everyone this Prema Bhakti, which is extremely difficult to achieve, and Shikhaya Sharanagati Bhagatir Prana, and to teach every one of us Sharanagati, the science of devotion, of surrender to Krishna, which is Bhagatir Prana, is the life air of devotion, of bhakti. Bhakti starts from Sharanagati. Shri Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he equates bhakti and Sharanagati. So this is the only means how to understand the works of previous acharyas, by devotion, by prayers to them, by understanding that we are not able to understand it by our own means. Like in Kena Upanishad it is said, Isyamatam tasyamatam matam yasya naveta saha. One who thinks that he can understand by his own efforts, or if he thinks that he had already understood everything, he doesn't understand. But Isya amatam tasyamatam, but one who understands that he doesn't know anything, and he surrenders to Krishna. Krishna, please help me. Guru Maharaj, please help me. Srila Prabhupada, previous acharyas, please help me in my work. I want to understand Krishna. I want to serve him. That's why Yasya amatam tasyamatam. He can understand things as they are. And Srila Jiva Goswami, it's very interesting in his commentary to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhum, Anibelashta Shanyam, this famous verse, which is the Paribhasha Sutra of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he says, explaining Jnana Karma Arjana Vritam, that Bhakti shouldn't be covered by Jnana Karma and other things, such as Vairagya or some austerities. And he says, Jnanam Atra Nirbheda Brahma Anusandhanam. Jnana, this knowledge which can cover Bhakti, is Nirbheda Brahma Anusandhanam. It's the efforts to understand impersonal Brahman. And then he says, Natu bhajaniya tattva anusandhanam api. But it doesn't refers to understanding Krishna. Bhajaniya tattva. Tattva means who Krishna is. And bhajaniya means why he is worthy of love and worship. Bhajana means to worship. And bhajaniya means one who is worthy to be worshipped. Bhajaniya tattva anusandhanam api. And then he says, Tasya avashya apekshaniya tvat. Because we have to understand a lot about him. Tasya avashya apekshaniya. It's very important for us to understand Krishna, who he is, why he is Supreme Lord, but not just Supreme Lord, but that he is Bhaktavatsala. He loves his devotees. He is ready to give himself to his devotees. Svayam nidhadaya bhajatam manichhatam ichha nidhadam nijapada palavam. He speaks about that in the 5th canto of Shrimad Bhagavatam, 19th chapter, that he is ready to give himself to his devotees, even if he is not trying to understand Krishna, to love him. Krishna muktaya bhuri karunaya namo layaya. In another verse from Shrimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, it says that Krishna, he always makes efforts in order to liberate or to bring his servant, living entities in this material world back home to Godhead. So he's trying to help us, and he's ready to give everything, every support. He wants to help us to become really happy. So that's why this knowledge about Krishna is very important. And Bhagavata-sandarbha has the same aim, to understand who Krishna is and why he is worthy of our love. But the technology, how to understand this knowledge, is first of all is bhakti. And bhakti starts Shiguru Padashraya, from the taking shelter of a spiritual master. And Srila Jiva Goswami explains also in this principle of devotional service that the mood is that I cannot understand. I won't be able to understand. I need mercy. I need mercy of the spiritual master. So that's why in that mood, let us offer our prayers to our spiritual masters, to Srila Prabhupada, to Guru Parampara, so that we could actually get most benefit from this course of Sri Tattva-sandarbha. Okay. Om Gana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Miritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam rupah kada mahyam dadati svapadantikam vancha kalpatarobhisya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karuchi Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yakripatamaha Vande Shigurum Jinataranam. And one more verse, which is one of the pranama mantras to Srila Jiva Goswami. Shirupa Charanadvandva Raginam Vrajavasinam Shijivam Satatam Vande Mandeshvanam Dadainam. It says that Shirupa Charanadvandva Raginam, to one who is very much attached to the service, to the lotus feet of his spiritual master, Srila Rupa Goswami. Raginam Vrajavasinam, to one who is real Vrajavasi, the one who had shown us the way to how to enter the Yukta Vrindavan, the real Vrindavan, Vrajavasinam, Shijivam Satatam Vande. And in this prayer to say that I always, again and again bow down to the lotus feet of Srila Jiva Goswami. Mandeshu Ananda Dayanam, to one who is very eager to give Ananda, highest bliss, highest happiness, to Mandeshu, to those who are lazy in the spiritual life. And if you feel that you are a little bit lazy, that you have some anarthas, some problems, for you, Tattva-sandarbha, because Jiva Goswami, Tattva-sandarbha and the rest of the 6 sandarbhas, because Jiva Goswami, he just wants to share what he is experiencing in relationship with Krishna. That's the mood of a real preacher. He doesn't want just to impress somebody by his knowledge of scriptures or shastras, or his ability to eloquently speak, or some other things. He doesn't want to get some material benefit from his preaching. He just wants to share his happiness of relationship with Krishna. Like we speak about in Guru Gayatri Mantra, Krishnanandaya Dhimahi. We say that Guru Maharaj, our Guru Maharaj, is Krishna Ananda. Krishna Ananda means one who is given Ananda, bliss, to Krishna by his service. And Krishna, because he is happy to receive such a service, he reciprocates to his servant, to Guru Maharaj. And Krishna Ananda also means that one who experiences Ananda of serving Krishna, which comes from Krishna. Krishna Anandaya Dhimahi. So in this way, preachers, they share their internal realizations, their happiness in relationship with Krishna. And by hearing such great souls, they can also get some enthusiasm to serve Krishna. Madguna Shruti Matrina Mai Sarvagya Manoga Tiravichina Yadha Gangam Vasom Budhao Lakshanam Bhakti Yogasi Nirgunasi Huda Hritam Ahaitu Keveva Hita Sa Bhakti Purushottame. Like Lord Kapila Dev, he speaks about that in the 3rd canto of Shrimad Bhagavatam, 29th chapter, verses 11 and 12. He says that Madguna Shruti Matrina, he speaks about Nirguna Bhakti, or transcendental Bhakti, which is being inspired by the hearing about Krishna, Krishna Katha. When devotee give knowledge about Krishna on the level of tattva, philosophical understanding, and also on the level of rasa. Rasa means some enthusiasm, some happiness which they experience in serving Krishna. And Manguna Shruti Matrina, Lord Kapila, he says that as soon as one hears about myself, my activities, my qualities, my holy name, about my devotees, about my relationships with my devotees, about myself, who is in the heart of every living entity, who is very near to us. Like Upanishad, they say that two birds are there on the same branch of the tree, Atma and Paramatma, and Krishna is very near to us, and he is ready to reciprocate. And our mind, our heart just starts flowing like Ganges, Ganga flows towards the ocean. Our desire, I want to serve Krishna, I want to give him, I want to please him. That's the pure devotional service. Lakshanam Bhakti Yogasi Nirgunasi Hidahita. This is the Nirguna Bhakti, pure devotional service. Ahaituki Avyavahita. And its causeless, it comes by the mercy of pure devotees. It's been inspired by their Krishna Katha and Avyavahita. That Bhakti can destroy all obstacles from our life. Only when we perform such devotional service, all anarthas will be removed from our heart. And Srila Jiva Goswami also in his commentary to the one of the last verses of the eastern part of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, speaking about Prema Bhakti, this famous verse, Ado Shatha Tato Sathu Sangotha Bhajana Kriya. He speaks about Sadhusanga. And he says that Sadhusanga Bhajana Riti Shikshartham. Why we should associate with devotees? Bhajan Riti Shiksha Artham, in order to understand how to properly perform our bhajan, how to please Krishna, how to get inspired about Krishna's qualities. That's the heart of Vaishnava association. Satam prasangan mamviri samvedo bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha. Lord Kapila also he speaks about that in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. That satam prasangan, by associating with devotees in such a way, mamaviri samvedo bhavanti hritkarna rasayana, the Krishna Katha becomes the rasayana, the medicine from our heart and our ears. Это Joshan Asha Pavarga Vartmani. And very quickly one progresses towards the path of perfection. All anarthas, all unwanted things will go away from his heart. And then Shadhara Tir Bhaktir Anukramishiti. And gradually Nishka will come, then Bhava Bhakti, and then Prema Bhakti. So that's the most important what we can hear, what we can get from this studying of works of Srila Jiva Goswami is we can get contact with him. Like I remember once in our school in Govardhan, we celebrated Jiva Goswami's Avirbhava, his appearance day. And I remember how I asked Gopradhana Prabhu, how can we serve Srila Jiva Goswami? And he smiled and he said, we can serve Srila Jiva Goswami by studying his books. But not just academically, but trying to understand his heart, what he experiences in relationship with Krishna. And then I asked, but not all the books are translated. And then he said that Srila Prabhupada, while translating Srimad Bhagavatam, he used commentaries of Shridhara Swami, or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and of Jiva Goswami to Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's why by studying Srila Prabhupada books, we actually also study Jiva Goswami books. By distributing books of Srila Prabhupada, we distribute also the knowledge which Jiva Goswami gave us. And in such a way, we serve Srila Jiva Goswami. And by serving such a great souls, we definitely get immersed, like great benefit. So that's why it's important to establish that we study Tattva-sandarbha, not just for theoretical knowledge, and not just by some external motives, not just because it's one of the part of Bhakti-Bhava or Bhaktivedanta curriculum. Not. We can get something more than that. we can get some bhakti of Jiva Goswami. And Jiva Goswami is not just an ordinary acharya. He is Nitya Siddha. He came from the spiritual world. He is the Vilasa Manjari, one of the very confidential servants of Shrimad Radharani. And because of that, he knows everything which is related to the spiritual world. And Jiva Goswami, he's known as Tattva Acharya, or one who gave philosophical basis for all the teachings of other acharyas. Like Rupa Goswami, he is the Rasa Acharya. Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale. He could understand the heart of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The same bhakti which was residing in his heart, same bhakti which Lord Chaitanya wanted to experience by coming here in this material world in the mood of Shrimad Radharani. And Rupa Goswami, he understood it, and Stapitam Yena Bhutale, and he wrote his books such as Bhakti Rasamrita Sinku, Ujjvala Nilamani, Lalita Madhava, Vidagga Madhava, Padyavari, so many wonderful books, basically Rasa Shastras. And I remember Gopiranand Prabhu, he explained that there are two kinds of sampradayas, Vicharatmaka sampradaya and Rasatmaka sampradaya. Vichara Atmaka means sampradaya which is mostly focused on studying Vedanta, philosophy, on understanding what is the absolute truth, who is the is this Bhagavan or Brahman or Paramatma, personal or impersonal, and then polemics with all other different opposite views, like with Mayavadi and or atheists. So this is basically Madhva Sampradaya or Ramanuja Sampradaya. Mostly they write books about Vedanta, but our acharyas, the heart of our sampradaya is Rasatmaka Sampradaya, means that we focus more on rasa. We want to develop love to Krishna. Bhakti is the main aim of our acharyas. And not just bhakti, but prema bhakti, prema prayojana. And then Jiva Goswami, what he said, he made a philosophical basis of all the teachings of Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Raghunatha Dasa Goswami, who is our Prayojana Acharya, who was practicing Krishna consciousness in such a way that he would dive into Krishna Lila. He would see what Krishna and Shrimad Radharani do, and then he wrote all these pastimes, describing them in his books, and then his famous Vilapa Kusumanjali, the humble prayers for the mercy of Shrimad Radharani. This is prayojana, and but people from outside, they might see is just some kind of sentimentalism, like kind of just emotions without any philosophical basis, just something external, like Lord Chaitanya when he was in Varanasi, and all those sannyasis, they challenged him. They told him that you're sannyasi, you should study Vedanta. Why you're dancing and chanting like a madman? Why you're not studying Vedanta along with us? So the activities of pure devotees is very difficult to understand for the external persons. That's why Srila Jiva Goswami, he established that this rasa which Lord Chaitanya brought in this world is not something external. That this is the very essence of all Vedic scriptures. Vedasya sarvari ahamo vidya, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. The whole goal of Vedas is to understand me. But how? Bhakti mal abhijanti, ivanashasmi tattvataha, by bhakti. And Atavan sankhya yoga pya svartharma paranishthaya, janmalabha parah pumsam anten rayana smetihi. Shukadeva Goswami speaks about that in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 2.1.6. Atavan sankhya yoga pya svartharma paranishthaya. Whatever you do, you practice sankhya, analytical study of practice of jnana, or svartharma paranishthaya. You are very formed or like very much established in following the rules and regulations of Varnashram Dharma, or yoga, mystic yoga perfections. whatever you do, ante janmalabha parahmusam ante narayana smritihi. All those practices, they should bring you to the ability of remember Narayana, ante. And ante, Vishnu Thakur in his commentary, he says that ante means that from whatever practice you start, your spiritual path, you have to come to bhakti, because only by bhakti, with love, you can remember Krishna always. Smartam yamastatam vishnur vismata vyonachatuchit sarvavithi nishet hasyur tayor vakin karaha. That all rules and regulations, they are aimed only to always remember Krishna and never forget him. And this is possible only by bhakti. So that's why we try to understand Krishna only by devotional service. And Jiva Goswami, he took on himself this very dirty work to study Vedanta Sutra, study Mayavada philosophy, study different opposite philosophies. And Jiva Goswami, he is not an ordinary person. Like he was, as I said, he was pure devotee. He was experiencing this rasa in Krishna, but still he was studying Vedanta philosophy, and it's very unusual. Like for traditional Indian studies, like in the very beginning, disciples, they study grammar, vyakarana, or nyaya, logic, or just memorize a lot of Vedic scriptures, samhitas, and then they had some specialization. Like they could choose to which direction they should proceed, either to darshan, or philosophy, or tattva, or to rasa, or kavya, because tattva and rasa, or kavya and philosophy, they're completely different. Rasa means vyanjana vritti, kavya means some dhvani, which means this some subtle things which are suffered, how to say, they are hidden in the verse, and if you have some potency to understand it, you get this revelation. And then your love, it becomes an udipana, or the impetus for you to do something for Krishna. This is kavya, or to experience some emotions. And Rupa Goswami, he used these techniques in his books, so that help those who had already developed to some extent inclination to particular rasa of relationship with Krishna, to help increase this inclination by his works. So this is one mood. And then philosophy is very logical, very analytical, very structuralizing. Like you shouldn't allow any emotions to enter in your consciousness. You should refute all these opposite views and so on. So this is very difficult to put it together. And Jiva Goswami, mostly he's known as Tattva-acharya, because this is his main contribution to our sampradaya. And he did it basically by Tattva-sandarbha. Like he wrote this book, which is just a second. Just check. Yes, he wrote 6 sandarbhas: Tattva-sandarbha, Bhagavata-sandarbha, Paramatma-sandarbha, Krishna-sandarbha, Bhakti-sandarbha, and Priti-sandarbha, which are full of all conclusions of our philosophy of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And it's very important also to understand that Srila Jiva Goswami, he was living in a very complicated situation. Because Lord Chaitanya, he came and he, externally at least, he took shelter in Madhva Sampradaya, coming from Madhvacharya. But the mood which Lord Chaitanya brought in this world is very much different from Madhva Sampradaya. And Sampradaya Vihina Mantraste Nishpala Mataha Atah kalo bhavishyati chatvara sampradayanam. And it is said that in Kali Yuga there will be only 4 sampradayas. We know this is from Lakshmi Devi, Shri Sampradaya, from Lord Shiva, Rudra Sampradaya, from Nibarkacharya, from 4 Kumaras, and from Lord Brahma, Madhava Sampradaya. It's written in Padma Purana, and in Garga Samhita also, it's Ashamitka Khanda 6, 4, 24, 25. There are verses which are very similar to this verse from Padma Purana, which says that, yes, there are only 4 sampradayas in Kali Yuga. And Lord Chaitanya, what he did, he brought the completely different mood, which was not actually according to any of the Vaishnava sampradayas. It was unique mood, and also unique philosophy, Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. And Srila Jiva Goswami, he had to establish it in such a way so that it would be accepted by the other scholars or acharyas. We could have said that Lord Chaitanya, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but not everybody would accept it. And we see how in the history of the India, there are some instances how somebody claimed that he is the founder of some that he is the founder of some sampradaya, like Hita Harivamsha. You know that he was related to Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and he then started his own branch, Radhavallabhas. And this is very famous temple of Radhavallabha in Vrindavan Dham. And then it is said that one of the acharyas of his sampradaya, Rupalal, he was asked to say to which sampradaya he belongs. But Hita Harivamsha, in his teachings, he said that rasa is not according to any sampradaya. Rasa is above it. It shouldn't be proved by any shastras or any Vedantic knowledge or any darshan. He says that the evolution of pure devotee, they are higher than shastras. And then because of that, he refused to prove his affiliation to any of the 4 sampradayas. And the king of Jaipur, who was ruling at that time by Vrindavan, he just forced him to leave the Vrindavan. So that's why it's very serious. If you are not, if you have not proved to that you belong to any bona fide sampradayas. And Jiva Goswami also, he wanted to do it in such a way so that the scholars from outside, they would accept us, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, as a bona fide sampradaya. It's very, very, very important work. And then we know that the same work was continued by Srila Baladevi Bhushan, who is our Vedanta Acharya. In his books like Prameya Ratnavali, Vedanta Siddhanta Ratna, Govinda Bhashi, his commentary to Vedanta Sutra, he proved that we are connected to Madhva Sampradaya, although we are very much different from Madhva Sampradaya. So that's why Srila Jiva Goswami, he had the same issue. He wanted to prove that we, Gaudiyas, also part of the authorizing Sampradaya, Madhva Sampradaya. But at the same time, he had to prove the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And it's very, very, very difficult to do. And in this way, he chosen to follow Lord Chaitanya's opinion, who said that Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam, that Srimad Bhagavatam is the highest source of knowledge about the absolute truth. And then on the basis of Srimad Bhagavatam, he established the Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, and then also the supremacy of the love of gopis to Krishna. And he did it. And it's not an easy work In order to that, he had to study so many different books. And we read about his life, how he was from the very beginning very God-inspired person. He had his deities, Krishna, Balaram, and he used to worship them. He used to feed them, cook for them sweets, and then he used to distribute the sweets to all his friends. He used to take his deities to the bed when he was sleeping at night. He couldn't separate himself from them. And then we read also in Bhakti Ratnakara how he was completely in love to Lord Chaitanya. He was chanting, Gauranga, 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 oh Lord Gauranga, where are you, where are you? And just faint again and again. And then when he came to, at the same time he was studying Shastras, and his teachers, they were very much amazed. How is it possible? They thought that maybe it's an incarnation of Brihaspati, the teachers of the demigods from the higher planetary systems. But actually they didn't know that Jiva Goswami, he is one of the Manjaris. Manjaris are those who get the very close association with Shrimad Radharani. And as we said, Bhakti mam abhijanati nivana shasmi tattva-sandarbha. Only by Bhakti we can understand Krishna as he is. And because Shrimad Radharani, she has the most Bhakti to Krishna in Ujjvala Nilamani. Here Bhakti is called Mardanaika Mahabhava. It's the highest pinnacle of love which is possible. So that's why she understands Krishna better than anybody else. And Manjaris, by serving Shrimad Radharani, they achieve sajati with her knowledge, with her mood. And that's why Manjaris, they can understand reality in the most perfect way. So in this way, Jiva Goswami, he knows more than any great sage, including Brihaspati, with all respect to him. So people, they were very much amazed. How is it possible that such a small boy, he knows so much? And then he decided to go to Navadvip to get an association of Srila Jiva Goswami. And it is said in Bhakti Ratnakara, as soon as he entered in Navadvip, which was the capital city of all learned scholars, pandits, many people, just by seeing Jiva Goswami, they understood that this is real guru, this is real acharya, and they immediately wanted to take initiation from him. Just by seeing him, you can imagine his power, his influence. And Lord Nityananda, at the time he was in Kardaha, in his house, he understood that Jiva Goswami came to Navadvipa, and he personally came to Navadvipa to meet him. And he gave him all his blessings. He took him to the Navadvip Mandala Parikrama. He asked Jiva Goswami to get blessings from all the Lord Chaitanya's associates who were there after his departures. So Jiva Goswami, he was praying at the feet of each and every Vaishnava, please give me blessings, please give me blessings. And then Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, he gave him order to go to Vrindavan to serve his uncles, Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. And it is written in Navadvip Mahatmya that as soon as Jiva Goswami, he went to Vrindavan, immediately in his heart, Yukta Vrindavan revealed, real Vrindavan, spiritual Vrindavan. So basically he was always seeing reality as it was. And then, despite that, he came to Varanasi, which was the capital city of all Vedantists, all Mayavadi philosophers. And then he started to learn Vedanta Sutra from Madhusudana Vachaspati, who in turn was the disciple of Sarvajna Bhattacharya. You know that Sarvajna Bhattacharya, when he met Lord Chaitanya, for the 7 continuous days, he was speaking Vedanta to Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya, he was just listening to him very attentively. All these conclusions of Mayavadi Krishna Paratha. So basically he was listening to Krishna Parathas from the lips of Sarvajna Bhattacharya in order to make him understand that he is respectful to him. And then, you know, that Lord Chaitanya, he rejected all those conclusions, and he gave to Sarvajna Bhattacharya the real understanding of Vedanta, Bhakti Vedanta. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he gave this understanding which he received from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his disciple, Madhusudana Vachaspati. And that's why Lord Nityananda, he said that Jiva Goswami, he should study Vedanta from Madhusudana Vachaspati. Bhakti Vedanta, not just impersonal Vedanta. And then immediately, after a very, very short time, Jiva Goswami, he overpowered all the scholars of Varanasi. He became greatest scholar of Vedanta in the whole India, basically. And then he came to Vrindavan. You can imagine just such a great knowledge, such experience, like he was seeing Vrindavan as it is, Yukta Vrindavan. He was Nitya Siddha from the spiritual world. He knew all Vedanta, Vedanta Sutra, all Vedanta philosophy. And what happened next? He came to Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, and he took shelter from Srila Rupa Goswami, his uncle. Rupa Goswami became his spiritual master. And we could have expected that because Jiva Goswami was such a genius, they could have engaged him in according to his adhikara or qualification, just to write books, to edit books, to do some very confidential service. But Rupa Goswami, he asked Jiva Goswami for 1 year to do some dirty work, like he was taking bringing fire wire, bringing water, cleaning paraphernalia. He was helping, he was giving massage to Rupa Sanatana Goswami. He was doing some menial service for one year. And only when Rupa Sanatana Goswami, he saw that Jiva Goswami, he had some genuine humility, only then they engaged him in this very confidential work. And we read in his commentary to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Drugama Sangamini, which means that the commentary which complicated things makes very clear and easy. And he writes that Srila Rupa Goswami, he wrote this book which could be understood in many, many ways. But then he says that I reject all faulty explanations and I prove only such and such and such explanations. And you should believe me, because I was very, very much connected to Rupa Goswami. Very bold statement, but actually it was like kind of sajatiya. He was serving his spiritual master. Vishambhenu Guru Seva is one of the principles which Srila Rupa Goswami establishes in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, is the third anga of devotional service, to serve Guru with love and affection. And he was doing it to his spiritual master. And that's why he could understand what was in the heart of Srila Rupa Goswami. And because of that, he was able to edit Rupa Goswami books. And also, Rupa Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, they all asked Jiva Goswami to edit their books. Such a trust to him, because they saw that he's real, he's genuine, he's not some kind of puffed up scholar. He was a devotee. He was surrendered devotee. Therefore, they empowered him to do such a confidential work. So this is Jiva Goswami. And then so that's why he was able to understand the rasa, the essence of all our sampradaya. And also by the mercy of Lord Nityananda, of his spiritual master, he was able to be engaged in philosophical discourse, in tattva, in studying Vedanta. But at the same time, he didn't lose this focus on pure devotion. Like Srila Rupa Goswami also, he speaks about why jnana can be dangerous for our devotional service. He says that jnana makes our heart hard. Very bhakti is sukumara svabhava, means that it's very lowly, it's very, very gentle, it's full of affection, of love. If you take jnana, it makes our heart very hard. We have to take some opposite opinions, we have to reject it. And that's why when one is too fond to study Shastras, like Tarka Sangraha or logic or Vedanta Sutra, it might be dangerous for his devotion. But Jiva Goswami, he was studying all Vedantas, but at the same time he didn't lose his focus on pure devotional service. And that's why he wrote, first genius of Jiva Goswami is that he was genius of philosophy. he took all the knowledge of Vedanta, and he established the superiority of devotional service, of pure bhakti. And he also established this very important philosophical principle, Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, which is perfectly harmonizing the opposite views of Dvaitavada or Advaitavada, like it, and he writes in his commentary to like it's Sarvajna to Paramatma-sandarbha. He analyzes all possible ways to understand Vedanta Sutra, like Dvaita, Advaita, Vishishta Advaita, and so on. And he finds faults in all those ways how to explain it. But then he establishes that only Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva is the only way how to most perfectly understand reality as it is. Like in Shastras we have Bheda Vakya, or the statements that supreme absolute truth is different from everything. Like in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Sa Esha Neti Neti Atma. The Atma, the absolute truth, is Neti Neti, 90, is not dead, not dead, not dead. And then we see Sarvam Kaladam Brahma, Abheda Vakya, that everything is Brahman, and how to put it together. Achintya Khalu Yebhava Natam Starkin Yujayet. It is said in Mahabharata that Achintya is such a reality which we cannot put together by tarka, logic. We can understand how something is black, or how something is white, but how something can be black and white at the same time is impossible to understand. But actually Krishna is such one of the Krishna is described in Rig Veda as Vamanihi. Vamanihi means one who is the leader of all contradictions. Completely opposite, contradictory things, they are united in Krishna. So that's why Jiva Goswami, he explained that by philosophy, on the basis of Shrimad Bhagavatam, he explained what is the absolute truth. Who is Bhagavan, what are his energies, Shakti, Shakti-Matura Abheda, how they are not different, and at the same time as how they are different. This is very, very complicated. And he did it in his Sandarbhas. Like we said that Tattva-sandarbha has 6 parts, and Tattva-sandarbha, in which he speaks about how we can understand the absolute truth. First part is Prameya Kanda, then Pramana Kanda. Very, very shortly, what is this Tattva? That highest Tattva is not Brahman, not Paramatma, but Bhagavan. And then he, in Bhagavad-sandarbha, he explains who is Bhagavan. In the first Anuchetas, he says that Brahman is one of the parts of Bhagavan. That the same non-dual substance, which is the absolute truth, could be understood in 3 ways: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. That's why is Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, they are not different. It's the same absolute truth. But in Brahman, Krishna doesn't reveal his qualities. But it doesn't mean that there are no qualities of Krishna in Brahman. They are hidden. Why? Because there are some people who don't want to see Krishna with qualities. They want to see him without qualities. Yet hamam prapadyante tam sadhaiva bhajamaham. Therefore, for them, Krishna manifests himself as Brahman. And then he explains that Paramatma is one of the partial manifestation of Krishna's qualities. And then Bhagavan. Then he speaks the qualities of transcendental body of the Bhagavan, what it is, how it manifests in this material world. He speaks about what is material energy, like very, very shortly, Maya Shakti, about Jiva Shakti, how they are interrelated. Then he speaks about the internal abode of the Supreme Lord. Then he says about his Nitya Parshadas, his weapons, like Sudarshana Chakra, club, sword. They are not just some material things. they are also manifestations of the spiritual energy. And he establishes that they are different and not different from him. And then he says in the very last parts that Krishna can be understood, Bhagavan can be understood in two ways. Shaktitvena, Shaktimatvena cha. Shaktitvena as Shakti or as Shaktiman. And he explained Krishna as Shaktiman, and then he explained Krishna as Shakti. And basically he speaks about Lakshmi Devi. Lakshmi Devi in very general. And then he says at the very end that actually Sarva Lakshmi Mayi, Shimachat Harani, she is the source of all Lakshmi Devis or Shakti Tattvas. So that's why Krishna and Shimachat Harani, they are not different. It's the same Bhagavan, absolute truth. But at the same time they are different. Such a complicated philosophy. And he everything he speaks, he bases his knowledge, his conclusions on Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. Yes. So what he does in Sandarbhas, he takes Sandarbhas is the topical study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Like in Srimad Bhagavatam, we see some prayers or some descriptions, some stories, and in such prayers we can see like one topic about Krishna, about his devotees, about devotional service, many different topics, and in Sandarbhas, Srila Jiva Goswami, he takes verses of Srimad Bhagavatam from different cantos, different parts, different stories, and then he puts them together. So basically this is topical study of Srimad Bhagavatam. And he takes the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. And we know that Srimad Bhagavatam is the Akritrima Bhashya, or the natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra. And that's why he brings the original verses from Vedanta Sutra. Then Vedanta Sutra is the summary of all philosophy of Upanishads, and he brings original verses from Upanishads, which are explained by Vedanta Sutra and Srimad Bhagavatam. Then he brings some stories from Puranas, which illustrate the conclusions he gave on the basis of Srimad Bhagavatam, Vedanta Sutra, and Upanishads. So this is very thorough, very detailed explanation. And then he wants to establish, for example, that Krishna's body is completely transcendental. And he takes one verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, then explanation from Vedanta Sutra, Upanishads, Puranas, logics. He establishes that yes, Krishna's body is transcendental. Then he takes another verse from another place of Srimad Bhagavatam, and he again does the same. He again establishes that Krishna's body is transcendental. And then sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5, 30, 40 verses on the same topic from different parts. And in this way, when we hear such an explanations, our faith that Krishna's body is transcendental will be very strong. That's why he wrote the Sandarbhas in order to make our faith to Krishna very strong. And then he takes another topic. Again, he explains it. Verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Vedanta Sutra, Upanishads, Puranas, explanations, interrelated verses from different parts of Srimad Bhagavatam as part of the explanation. Then again. So this is Bhagavata Sandarbha, then Paramatma Sandarbha, which explains what is Paramatma, feature of the Supreme Lord, what is Maya Shakti, what is Jiva Shakti, how they are interrelated. Then Krishna Sandarbha, he said that Bhagavan is the absolute truth, the highest reality. But then there is some hierarchy or taratamya in different forms of Supreme Lord. And Krishna Sandarbha, he bases it on the famous verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.28. Etecham shakalah pumsah krishnastu bhagavan svayam indrari vyakulam lukam mridayanti yuge yuge. That all those incarnations or avatars, they are parts or the parts of the parts of the Supreme Lord, but Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then he, in Krishna-sandarbha, he also says that as Krishna has different manifestations, different gradations of manifestations of his qualities, in the same way, his devotees, like Shrimati Radharani and gopis, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitapyis Tabdira Eva Nijarupa Tayakalapyis, that they are the expansions of the transcendental body of Shrimati Radharani, and they manifest some parts of her qualities. She unites all the other gopis' qualities in herself. But then Shrimati Radharani and gopis in Vrindavan, they manifest in as the queens of Dwaraka, Krishna's queens of Dwaraka. They hide some qualities which they have. And then as Lakshmi Devis in Vaikuntha Loka. So in this way, we have different gradations of Krishna manifestations and different gradations of devotees manifestations. And then he explains that there are different gradations of manifestation of holy Dham. The highest Dhama is Goloka Vrindavana, actually Gokula Vrindavana, the earthly Vrindavana. He speaks about that also in Krishna-sandarbha. And then he speaks how it manifests in Dwaraka, then Ayodhya, then Vaikuntha Loka. Different gradations, same Dhamma. They are not different, but the qualities are being hidden from Dhamma to Dhamma. This is Krishna-sandarbha. And then he speaks about Svakiya Parakiya, and Shrimati Radharani and Krishna, they are in Parakiya rasa. They are lovers, but at the same time, they are eternal husband and wife. How to put it together is very difficult. That's why it was part of the big controversy in our Sampradaya. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he wrote this book, Svakiya Parakiya Vichar, to establish that, yes, the highest understanding of relationship between Krishna and Shrimati Radharani is Parakiya rasa, as lovers, but at the same time, they are eternal husband and wife. So this is Krishna-sandarbha. And then this all four sandarbhas, they are describing sambandha, or what are the energies of the Supreme Lord and how they are interrelated, different manifestations of those energies. And then he speaks about bhakti and bhakti-sandarbha. He speaks about what is bhakti shakti, that is completely different from karma, jnana, yoga. It's the function of the eternal energy of the Supreme Lord. And bhakti comes by the mercy of Krishna and his pure devotees. Different kinds of bhakti. Arupa Siddha Bhakti, Svarupa Siddha Bhakti, Sangha Siddha Bhakti, different kinds of bhakti. Then he explains all the 9 processes of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Patasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. And then he speaks about Raganuga Bhakti, he speaks about Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. And then in Priti Sandarbha is the sixth Sandarbha. He explains what is Prema. Like Prema and Priti, they come from the same Sanskrit dhatu, verb, pritaye, but Preman or Priti, it's just different engines, suffixes which we add to this dhatu. So that's why Prema or Priti Sandarbha, he explains different rasas, how they manifest, like Mukhya rasa, main rasas, main 5 rasas, or 7 Gauna rasas. He speaks about Rasabhasa. So basically what was written by Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Ujjvala Nilamani. He explains everything in Sandarbhas. And basically he wants to bring us to understand that all this philosophy which we studied in the beginning of Sandarbhas, all bhakti, different kinds of bhakti which we studied, how to do it properly, what are the obstacles on the path of bhakti, they have the same aim, how to love Krishna. Bhajani tattva-anusandha apekshaya. That is very important to understand Krishna as he is. So this is his genius as philosopher. And then what he did, the same conclusions which he wrote in the Sandarbhas, he put in the language of poetry. He wrote a few poetical books like Gopala Virudavali, Madhava Mahotsava, different books, Gopal Champu, very, very famous. It's poetry which describes just rasa, relationship between Krishna and his devotees. And as we said, that it's very difficult to put together philosophy, analytical study of absolute truth, and also the rasa, the emotions. And very, very rare scholars could do it. And Jiva Goswami, he was one of them. He like we see in Srimad Bhagavatam, some pastimes of Krishna. And in Gopal Champu, Jiva Goswami, he makes so many details of those pastimes. And he explains the different grades of the emotions which devotees experience in their relationship with Krishna. So this is the second genius of Jiva Goswami. He is a genuine philosopher, he is genuine poet, kavi. And then the third genius of Jiva Goswami, that he was the genuine teacher. He wrote few books how to understand both tattva and rasa. Like he wrote the Harinamrita Vyakarana, which is the grammar for the Vaishnavas, because usually both philosophy and kavya used to be written in Sanskrit. In order to understand them and write them, you have to know Sanskrit very much. And then Sanskrit is such a complicated topic that Paninian grammar is very complicated. So that's why Jiva Goswami, he rewrote all the grammars and he put them in one book. And then more of them, all the grammatical terms, he named it by the holy names of Krishna and his devotees. So that just by studying grammar, we don't forget about Krishna. Also, he wrote this book, Radha Krishna Archana Deepika, which is the teach book how to worship the deities of Krishna Srimati Radharani. Because Lord Chaitanya, he established that the law for Krishna Srimati Radharani is the highest, and before him there were no deities of Krishna Srimati Radharani, and nobody knew how to worship them with the proper mood. And Jiva Goswami, he explained everything in his book, Radha Krishna Archana Deepika. Then he wrote the Rasamrita Shesha, which is the teach book how to write Sanskrit poetry. Also, we know that Srila Jiva Goswami, he established his school in Vrindavan, and he had three very, very famous students, Srinivasa Acharya, Shimananda Pandit, and Narottama Das Thakur, the second generation of the Vaishnavas after the Vrindavan Goswamis. And he was able to convey to them everything he knew, everything he himself received from Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, from Lord Chaitanya. So it's very difficult, like if you are, you might know, you might have knowledge, but it's an art how to give it to others so that they could understand it. And Jiva Goswami, he knew that art. This is his third genius. Then the fourth genius of Jiva Goswami, that at the same time, like he was writing books, he was teaching, and at the same time he was the genuine manager. He took the responsibility to take all affairs in Vrindavan after the disappearance of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. He was taking care of all the devotees, whether they have food or place to stay. Also, he was helping them in their life, in their spiritual life as a teacher. All the legal papers on the property of Radhakunda or many temples in Vrindavan are written on Jiva Goswami's name. Then he was like kind of internal manager, like temple commander of all Vrindavan. But at the same time, this is his fourth genius, because it's very complicated to put together study, teaching work, writing books, and external management, the work of the Kshatriya. But Jiva Goswami, he was able to do it. Four genius in one person. And then the fifth genius, he was an acharya of all Sampradaya. He was representing Sampradaya to the external world. You write how he was very much worried about the situation in Vrindavan, that Muslim rulers, they were invading Vrindavan. They were putting so many obstacles for the practice of devotional service. And what Jiva Goswami did, he established connections to Rajputas. Rajputas means the kings of Jaipur, who were very influential. Although they were under the Muslim government, but they had some independent authority. And he, like Maharaja Man Singh, who was the disciple of Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, who constructed the Radha Govindaji temple. Through him, Jiva Goswami, he asked him to introduce him to Imperator Akbar. And then he was speaking with Akbar, and then he was invited to the famous dispute in the court of Imperator Akbar, which river is better, Ganga or Yamuna? And he established that Yamuna is the highest of all the rivers. And Akbar was so impressed by the knowledge and scholarship and devotion of Srila Jiva Goswami. He asked, "What can I do for you?" And Jiva Goswami, he asked for two things. Please don't disturb Vrindavan. Please allow the devotee to practice devotional service. And also he asked him for the stock of paper, because paper at the time was very, very precious. So that's why he's got government approval for the whole sampradaya. Basically, he protected the whole sampradaya so that they could establish or practice devotional service. It's very, very difficult. Like fifth genius in one person. It's unimaginable how to put it together. And then the sixth genius of Jiva Goswami, that despite of all his great qualifications, he was very, very humble devotee. We write in Bhakti Ratnakara how he was, when he sent Srinivasa, Shamanandu Pandit and Narottama Das Thakur with the books by the request of Jahnava Mata to establish the philosophy for the whole sampradaya, for those different groups of Vaishnavas in Navadvipa, Vrindavan, Jagannath Puri, to put them together. So he sent devotees who knew the books, who would be able to explain them. And that's why we know that books were stolen, and Jiva Goswami, he had some correspondence with the devotees. And in Bhakti Ratnakara there are few letters written by Jiva Goswami to Srinivasacharya. And he writes to him, Srinivasacharya, who was his disciple, he was his teacher. He asks, Srinivas, please pray for me. I'm writing commentary to don't remember exactly, some commentary. And please pray for me so that I would be able to write it properly. Wow! Guru asks for blessings from his disciple. Then when Srinivasacharya, he wrote the commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. It's the commentary on Chaturshloki Srimad Bhagavatam. Very, very famous also. And Jiva Goswami, he read this commentary and he sent his message to Srinivasacharya. This is the best commentary I ever read in my whole life. Wow. Although himself, he wrote like Sandarbhas, which is the topical study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Then Krama Sandarbha is verse by verse commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. Then he wrote Laghu Vaishnava Toshini, the commentary on 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Few commentaries. He himself, he was the perfect scholar. He knew Srimad Bhagavatam, but then he was able to appreciate the commentary of his disciple. Such a humility. And we know that when he tried to defend his spiritual master, Srila Rupa Goswami, from Vallabhabhata, who came and he saw the book of Rupa Goswami, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and he saw this verse, Bhukti Mukti Sprihayava Pishati Hriti Vaktate, Tavel Bhakti Sukhasya Trakatham Abhidayo Bhavet. That Bhukti and Mukti, they are like Pishachi, they who can hunt one as a ghost, and they can contaminate the consciousness of the devotee. And in this way, Tavel Bhakti Sukhasya Trakatham Abhidayo Bhavet. How can such a devotee experience the highest bliss of pure devotional service? It's impossible unless these two witches go away from the heart. And Vallabhabhata didn't like this verse. because so many shastras they claim that mukti is a very important goal of the high human society. And Rupa Goswami, out of his utter humility, he thought, yes, I will think about that. He didn't reject this explanation, although it was wrong. But Jiva Goswami, he refuted all Vallabhabhata's arguments. He defeated his spiritual master. And then Rupa Goswami, having known about that, he told that, Jiva, you are too pride to stay in Vrindavan. You have to go away. And then Jiva Goswami, he was so humble, he accepted the chastisement of his spiritual master. He went out of Vrindavan, he stayed in Mathura. And then we know that Sanatana Goswami, he knew about that, and he asked Rupa Goswami to bring back Jiva Goswami. Such a humility. He didn't protest. Guru Maharaj, I was trying to defend you. Why you are so harsh to me? No, he understood that, yes, I'm wrong. And it's very difficult for somebody who is really highest scholar. Usually they are very proud. And if you find any fault in their words or their teachings, they will just smash you. But Jiva Goswami, he wasn't like that. He didn't try to establish his own opinions. He was just praying so that those devotees who will be reading Tattva-sandarbha, they could understand how merciful Krishna is, how is it important to study, to serve him. That was his genius. So 6 genius in one person. And we can understand that now we are trying to study his book, Tattva-sandarbha. And every verse and every word of Tattva-sandarbha is not something material. It's coming directly from the spiritual world. It's the highest revelation which Acharyas gave to us. And to understand that, we have to be in the same mood. Pray, praise Krishna, praise Guru Maharaj, praise Srila Prabhupada, praise all the previous Acharyas, praise Jiva Goswami. We have to pray to Jiva Goswami to get his mercy, so that by his mercy we could understand the knowledge he is trying to give to us. And Tattva-sandarbha is the smallest sandarbha of all the 6. The biggest one is Bhakti-sandarbha. Second big is Bhagavad-sandarbha. Tattva-sandarbha is very small. It's quite simple, relatively simple. I remember when we studied Tattva-sandarbha in our school, it was more or less easy. But then when we came to Bhagavad-sandarbha, it was so complicated that just we immediately see the difference. So we are going to study the easiest sandarbha of Jiva Goswami, and still it's very difficult. It's very difficult to understand actually what Jiva Goswami wants to say in his work. And also, as I said, that Jiva Goswami he first establishes the superiority of Srimad Bhagavatam, and then he quotes from Srimad Bhagavatam different verses. And because Srimad Bhagavatam could be understood in many different ways, sometimes in his translation of Tattva-sandarbha, this verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, Goparadhana Prabhu, he had to change the translation from what we have in the BBT, because Jiva Goswami he uses these verses in order to prove some particular philosophical point. So that's why you might see that in the translation, sometimes they differ from what we have in our BBT books. Same verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. So complicated. So that's why it just kind of an introduction to the Tattva-sandarbha. And maybe now I can stop shortly for the questions so far, if I can answer, and then we start the Tattva-sandarbha, the first verses. Is it clear, dear devotees? Is it not too fast? Not too complicated from my part? Please.
Just excellent, Prabhu. Just excellent.
Please give me some feedback so that I can understand. Yes, Mataji Lalita Priti, yes.
Prabhu, I have a question You told about the two varieties of sampradayas, like Rasatmika Sampradaya, and what was the name of another one?
Vicharatmika. Vichar means the Vichar Shakti is one of the functions of human intelligence, buddhi. It means that Vichar basically means to doubt. You doubt whether it's proper or not proper. That's why Rupa Goswami, he says that this Vichar is, if you're too much involved in Vichar, your heart becomes very hard. Very, like it's difficult to experience some emotions in your life, in bhakti. So that's why Vicharatmika Sampradaya, usually it's Mahatma Jnana Bhakti, Aishwarya Bhakti, Bhakti which is full of understanding that Krishna, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that he is God and I'm his servant and have to serve him in this revelation mood. That's why it can be an impediment to develop Raganuga Bhakti or spontaneous devotional service. That's why basically our acharyas, they in the mood of Rasatmaka, giving rasas. But then, as we said, that Jiva Goswami, he uses philosophy in the case, like Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. He uses philosophy to establish rasa. And actually, Tattva and rasa, they are not different. It's the same absolute truth. Like Upanishad, Taitiri Upanishad says, Rasa Vaisaha Rasam Hivayam Labhva Anandi Bhavati. That supreme absolute truth is the rasa. And Rasam Hi Evayam Labhva, when we establish connection to that rasa, to the Supreme Lord, Anandi Bhavati, we get this ananda, this happiness. Esha Hiva Ananda Iti. And then it is said that only relationship with the Supreme Lord can completely satisfy our heart. And then the same Taitiri Upanishad says, Vinyanam Anandam Brahma, that Brahma or absolute truth is Vinyanam Ananda, is the happiness which you can realize on the level of Vijnana, realized knowledge. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. It's the philosophical explanations. So philosophy and rasa, they go together. It's just the two sides of one coin. So that's why real Vaishnavas, real devotees, they can see in philosophy rasa and rasa in philosophy. They can see the connection between them. And Srila Prabhupada, he writes in one of the commentary to second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that pure devotee, he equally gets happiness from the nectar of very deep philosophical discourse and feeling about the loving relationship between Krishna and Srimati Radharani. Like rasa and tattva, they are interrelated. But to understand that, you have to be on a very, very high spiritual level. So that's why our acharyas, they speak about rasa, but they also make a philosophical foundation based on philosophy. And Jiva Goswami also, as we said, that he was using Vedanta philosophy to establish that. And in his Paramatma-sandarbha, 105th Anusheda, he gives Chatur Tika, is the commentary on the first 4 verses of Vedanta Sutra, which are crucial to establish the philosophical basis of the Sampradaya. So basically, he explains them on the basis of Srimad Bhagavatam as part of the Sandarbhas. So he also gives this philosophical knowledge. And then Baladevi Pushna, using Jiva Goswami's explanations, he wrote his commentary on Vedanta Sutra when it was needed after this Jaipur dispute. So that's why Tattva and Rasa, they are interrelated. But basically, in our Sampradaya, we make focus on achieving Rasa, to love, to this very, very soft heart in relationship with Krishna. And Jiva Goswami, as we said, he protected this rasa from the external opposite views. He established that it's not just some emotions, some soft heart, but no, this is completely transcendental spiritual reality, the highest spiritual reality which is possible to achieve. Yes. Is it clear, Mataji? Is it clear,
Yes,
Mataji?
thank you,
Yes.
Prabhu.
Okay.
And your class is not going too fast. Also, I'm able to understand. Thank you.
I'm sorry, you're speaking about what? About Bhagavad-sandarbha?
I mean like you asked for a feedback about the class. I'm just telling that it's not going too fast. It's good.
Okay, nice. Because like I've been always criticizing for speaking too fast, so that's why I was very much afraid. Yes, Shyam Kishore Prabhu, да, yes, Shyam Kishore Prabhu, please, yes.
So my apologies, Prabhuji, but for me the class seems to be too fast.
Okay.
So I am not understanding most of it. So I would request, and of course, if everyone is fine, then of course I am the only person. I'll seek some assistance from other Vaishnavas. But I am not able to follow bulk of the class. So I would request if it were, if you go a bit slowly, and I would also like to understand, like going forward, we'll go verse by verse, right? Is that what
Yes.
happen, right?
Yes. Shyam Kishore Prabhu.
I'm not able to follow, Prabhuji. I'm sorry.
Yes, many devotees couldn't follow. Okay, I will try to speak as slow as possible. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So, Nrishim Hinitai Prabhu, please, what is your question?
Thank you, Prabhu, for your beautiful class, and I understand your voice. For me, not problem. Prabhu, my question is actually, this is not a question, just I wanted to know. In your class, you have mentioned that there are 4 Sandarbha. So, number 1 is Tattva-sandarbha, and number 2 is Bhagavat-sandarbha. And
Yes.
what is another 2 Sandarbha? Can you repeat?
No, actually we have 6 Sandarbhas.
Okay, 6 Sandarbha.
6, yes. 4 Sandarbhas, they establish Sambandha Jnana. 5th, Abhidaya Jnana, and the 6th one is the Prayojana Jnana. And
Yes. And 6 Prayojan.
Yes. So first four Sandarbhas is the Tattva-sandarbha, Bhagavat-sandarbha. Please don't mistake, because all the 6 Sandarbhas, like one of the name is Shat-sandarbha or Bhagavata-sandarbha. Bhagavata, A is there. Bhagavat is the 2nd Sandarbha. Yeah, right? You understand? Then the 3rd one is Paramatma-sandarbha. The 4th, Paramatma-sandarbha, yes. The 4th one is Krishna-sandarbha.
Okay,
Krishna-sandarbha, yes. Then the 5th one is Bhakti-sandarbha, and the 6th one is Priti-sandarbha. This is Shat-sandarbha. Or Jiva Goswami.
Bhakti-sandarbha, and the 6th?
Priti.
Priti-sandarbha.
Priti-sandarbha, да. Priti means love. About
Priti means love.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes. Nilamani Prabhu also.
Fifth one is Sambandha and Prayojan. 5th
Yes.
Sandarbha, 6th Prayojan. Thank you.
Yes. No, first 4 Sandarbha, 5th Abhidaya, 6th Prayojana, like that. Okay? Yeah. And also, I forgot to mention that in the Sandarbhas, Srila Jiva Goswami, he explains very, very complicated philosophy. But he tries to put there the most easy parts of the philosophy. And he wrote his own commentary on the Sandarbhas, which is called Sarva-samadhini. And this is his explanations, whenever he touches some complicated parts of philosophy in his main text of Sandarbha. He understands that if I go too deep, it will be difficult to understand for the people, for the devotees. That's why he gives very explained explanation in the separate book, which is called Sarva-samadhini. And we have Sarva-samadhini for the first 4 Sandarbhas, which explain the Sambandha Jnana. Then we have no Sarva-samadhini for 5th and 6th Sandarbha. And also, I forgot to mention also one very important thing about the Sandarbhas, that to understand them, it's not just read the verse. It's very complicated language, Sanskrit, a very philosophical language. I studied Sanskrit to some extent, and the Jiva Goswami language is the most complicated language, Sanskrit language, which I saw. it's very complicated and difficult to understand it. Then Jiva Goswami, he uses this pronouns tat, etat, and then tat, etat, etat, tat, tat, like, and sometimes it's very difficult. This is called antecedent, and sometimes it's very difficult to understand what relate to tat and what relate to etat. You see, so it's just if you don't understand the mood of Jiva Goswami, if you don't see the like, if you don't understand the knowledge already, you won't be able to translate it to understand. It's like a hidden knowledge. Complicated Sanskrit, this antecedents also sometimes he gives very complicated explanations of the verses. So that's why, as I said, that Goparananda Prabhu used to say that only Goswami can understand the teachings of Goswamis. So in order to understand Tattva-sandarbha, you have to become Goswami. No less. You see, you have to pray, you have to have very, very good sadhana. You have to be in the mood of surrender to Krishna, to a spiritual master, Sharanagati. Only then something can be understood. And then we have to help us, Srila Baladeva Pushina, he wrote a commentary on the whole 6 sandarbhas. As we said, that Baladeva Pushina, he is our Vedanta Acharya. Some scholars say that he is the second avatar or second advent of Srila Jiva Goswami. He continued the same mission which Jiva Goswami had. So that's why by his pure devotion he could understand the meaning of sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami. But then he wrote commentary on the whole 6 sandarbhas. But the problem is that only his commentary on Tattva-sandarbha is there. The commentary on the rest of sandarbhas is lost. So that's why it's so difficult to understand sandarbhas. We have many translations of sandarbhas, and each and every translator he explains according to his level of understanding. So that's why I prefer this translation and commentary which is given by Goparananda Prabhu, because that was the devotee who was empowered by Srila Prabhupada to continue translations of his books, like Shrimad Bhagavatam, different books after his departure. And I had a very close association with Goparananda Prabhu. He was a great scholar. He was really, he knew everything practically. He knew Sanskrit, he knew 12 languages, like different languages, Chinese, Russian, and so on. He knew the computer language. He wrote few computer programs. But at the same time, he was very, very humble devotee. I saw how he was dealing in real situations of life, how he was completely sacrificing everything for the sake of serving his spiritual master. Therefore, I have a trust that in his translation of Shrimad Bhagavatam, he understood what was said by Srila Jiva Goswami. He was using also commentary by Baladeva Pushina. But even commentaries of previous acharyas is also not easy to understand. Sometimes they hide the meaning by complicated words in Sanskrit and so on. So you have to pray to them. So like it is said that Bhakti Bhagavata Grahya Budhyana Chatikaya. We can understand Bhagavatam only by bhakti, not by intelligence, by logic, and neither by commentaries. Even the commentaries you have to understand first. Such complicated things. Therefore, although there are different translations of Tattva-sandarbha, we have translation of Kushakratha Prabhu, Satyanarayana, Babaji Maharaj, and different devotees. But I personally prefer the translation of Goparananda Prabhu because I knew him personally, and I saw how he was very meticulous in this word. Like in one place of Sarvajna, there was one very complicated part which was connected to the Mimamsa, to Vaisheshika philosophy. And for a few years, he couldn't understand it. He was traveling all over the India. He was approaching to all the scholars in India. And still nobody could explain him why Jiva Goswami speaks that things in Tattva-sandarbha. Many years he was praying, And then finally he has got some revelation, how we can put it together. And then he approached the scholars and they proved, yes, that's the proper understanding. So this is not just some external approach. Oh, okay, I understand and that's it. No, he was praying again and again and again and again and again. Maybe I didn't understand something important. That's why he was staying in Govardhan. Giriraj, who is the Haridasa Varya, who is the guru for all Brijabasis, he was praying to him to understand Tattva-sandarbha. So in the same way, I remember how I was studying from Gopranhana Prabhu. I understood his mood. And also, when we studied Sandarbhas, Tattva-sandarbha, Bhagavata-sandarbha, before every class I was just chanting many rounds of japa. I was praying to Giriraj, to Srimati Dharani, to all the Krishna's associates, to the great acharyas, to be able to catch up what Gopranhana Prabhu wanted to say to us in his classes. That's why maybe some little knowledge came to my heart. And he is my guru, basically. He is one of my Shiksha gurus. And my teaching of Sandarbhas is by doing so, I'm trying to repay my great debt to him, to what he gave to me when I was 5 years staying in Govardhan. So that's why it's not easy to understand Sandarbhas. Okay.
Prabhu,
Yes.
I stayed a few days with Gopalananda Prabhu in Govardhan, his Harinam Bagaranagi school, 2011, and I saw him personally. And Gopalananda Prabhu, he used to take prasadam with his students.
Yes.
And that time I also present there in 2011. Really, Prabhu is very nice person and very kind to other devotees.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes. I remember how he had asthma. It's very serious disease. And his servant, he used to stay with him. And I remember how this servant, he explains that early in the morning, like 4 o'clock, 4 a.m., Gopranhana Prabhu, he used to wake up. And then he was suffocating. He couldn't breathe. And then his servant, he was thinking, oh, okay, no. Today no classes at all. And then, as soon as Gopranhana Prabhu, he used to feel some relief, he took his bike, he used to go to the school, and he used to give a class. You see? And then, if he felt slightly better, he used to give the second class. He was taking care of all of us. He was very open to help us in our spiritual life. I remember how I was coming to him when I had some difficulties in staying in Govardhan, some problems with the relationship with devotees, some problems to understand some philosophical part. And he was, despite his very tough schedule, he was giving time to me. See, whenever somebody used to come to him, he used to put the chair just to make him comfortable to speak. Like in our school, we had many students, and some of them were good students, some of them were not good students, bad students, and he didn't put away any student from the school. He was just asking him, why are you doing so? He was trying to correct him, and when and if the student didn't correct himself, what he used to do, he used to start praying to Krishna. Krishna, please do something in this situation. And I was very amazed. 5 or 6 devotees like that. Just after he used to start praying, 1, 2, 3 weeks, and this devotee, he was forced to go away from the school by different external situations. Wow, such a compassion, such a devotion. So that's why I have a faith in his translation, in his devotion, which he put in his book. So that's why I prefer to teach based on Gopalananda Prabhu's translation of Tattva-sandarbha. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Nilmani Prabhu. Yes, please.
Thank you so much for wonderful presentation. It's so nice to hear little summary history of Sri Goswami and his background. So one question that came to mind was there some particular event or motivation that inspired Jiva Goswami to write Sandarbha?
Yes, yes, he writes in the Mangala Charana, we'll read it very soon, that he did it by the order of his superiors. And it's very important, like we see in Krishna's Kaviraja Goswami. He was the witness of all the, how Raghunath Das Goswami, his spiritual master, he was every day speaking about the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which were not included in Chaitanya Bhagavata by Vrindavan Das Thakur. And he knew everything. He was serving his Guru Maharaj, and he got it inside. He realized this knowledge. And that's why Vaishnavas, they asked Krishna's Kaviraja Goswami to describe the final pastimes of Lord Chaitanya in a separate book. But then he thought, who am I to write a book about the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya? And Vaishnavas, they asked, please, we ask you, we pray you. And then he thought, okay, only if Madan Mohan or Madan Gopal, which is in charge of Sambandha Jnana. Sambandha means the proper relationship with Krishna. Not just external, not just superficial, but heart to heart, spiritual, transcendental relationship with Krishna. This is the first part which we have to do in our path to Krishna. So that's why he approached to Madan Gopal, this deity which was formed by Advaita Acharya and which was worshipped by Sanatana Goswami. And immediately, as soon as he bowed down to Madan Gopal, the garland, huge garland, came to his neck. And everybody understood that he's got the mercy or blessings of Madan Mohan. And then he writes in Chaitanya Charitamrita that I'm writing this book only because I was asked to do so by my superiors, by the Vaishnavas. We see how Lord Brahma in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he gives an order to Narada Muni that I gave you this knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam. Tam eva vipuli kuru, and you should expand it. You should explain it in more details. And then Narada Muni, he gives his order to Srila Vyasadeva. Samadhi nanusmaratat visheshtatam. You have to observe in the samadhi or trance of devotional service and describe the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, so that bhakti would be the most important part of the scriptures, so that people could understand that this is the only way to Krishna, to get his mercy. So that's why the higher order. And then, like we see how Lord Chaitanya, he ordered Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami to write books about our philosophy. That's how empowerment comes from above by the mercy. So that's why Srila Jiva Goswami, he also got this mercy from his superiors. And on the strength of this mercy, he writes the book. Yes.
Specifically, Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami requested him or ordered him to write these Sandarbhas?
It's not written directly, but we can understand that, as I said, that first they tested Jiva Goswami, whether he is genius, whether he has this humility. Vidyam dadati vinayam, that if one is really learned, he has to explain humility. And Srila Sanatana Goswami, he writes in his Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Bhushanam Dani Mulakam. Dani is the root cause of all good qualities, of mercy, of revelations. That's why they tested whether Jiva Goswami is humble. And when they saw it, they told, okay, now you can write books, now you can edit books. So it was, as I understand, it was like a general approval or order. And then, on the basis of this order, Srila Jiva Goswami, he was writing some particular books on philosophy or kavya or teachers' books, textbooks, and so on, to establish to strengthen, to support what was written by his superiors, just to continue their work. That's how I understand. Yes.
And a more related question. So, from the Tattva-sandarbha point of view, were they conceived initially that yes, we will divide all of the tenets of Bhagavad philosophy, Vaishnava philosophy, Sri Chaitanya's teachings, and structure them, organized in this way, or was it kind of evolved in that way?
You see, actually Jiva Goswami, he internalized all the sandarbhas in his heart. Like it is said that when he was written, he never like he was written in the paper. Some scholars say that he was written in the paper, and because paper was very precious, he was written on the both sides of the paper. So he was written like first page, and then to save time, because if you turn the paper, the ink was still wet, not dried yet. So he was writing the third page, and then he was waiting until the first page would become dry. And then he started to write fourth page, then second page, then fourth page, like this. So basically he had all knowledge already in his heart, and it was just a question of time to manifest it in the paper. You see? Okay.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Such a genius person. You can imagine, this is Jiva Goswami. And if you are staying in Vrindavan, if by some great fortune, today or tomorrow, please go to his samadhi, pray to him, give some donation, offer garland to him to get his mercy. Because without his mercy, it's impossible to understand sandarbhas. It's not possible. Never you will be able to understand. You will just get some diploma of passing Tattva-sandarbha course. But it will be just superficial. I don't want you to get this. I want you to get mercy. That's why I dedicated whole first lesson just to explain the technology, the methodology, how to get mercy of the Vaishnavas. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhu. In the mood of parampara, I request your mercy so that maybe we can understand a little bit of.
Anyway, I will pray. Definitely, I will pray for you if Krishna hears my prayers. I will try my best, Prabhu. Okay? Yeah. Mataji Prabhupada Priya, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
I just have a couple of simple, short questions.
Yes.
One is, so the text of the Tattva-sandarbha that we have, the translations are by Jiva Goswami, and then is it the commentary is all Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu's writing, or is it translation of Jiva Goswami's?
Yes, as I said, we have Tattva-sandarbha as the main text. Then we have Sarva-samadhini. When Jiva Goswami, he explains some complicated parts, or he expands the same conclusions he established in the main text. So we have Tattva-sandarbha with Sarva-samadhini. Then, as I said, we have Baladeva Pushna commentary. He wrote both on Tattva-sandarbha, on the main sandarbha, and Sarva-samadhini. And then Goparanhan Prabhu, he used both Sarva-samadhini and he used Baladeva Pushna commentary, and he explained this, he paraphrased this commentary in his book. It's not just direct translation of Baladeva Pushna commentary. If you want that, you can read Banu Maharaja's translation, then just Baladeva Pushna. But what Goparanhan Prabhu did, he also added something from Shrimad Bhagavatam, from Srila teachings, to establish some important parts. And also he gives his own explanations sometimes, like in addition to what was explained by Baladeva Pushna and Jiva Goswami.
Okay, so Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu took Jiva Goswami's own commentary, which is another book,
yes,
combined with Baladeva Vijayabhushan's
yes,
commentary, and whatever Srila Prabhupada said about those verses.
Yes,
Yes. Put
yes,
it together to form
yes, yes,
the commentaries
yes,
that are in this text that we're reading.
yes, yes, yes. And
Okay, nice.
and actually it became very, very tasty. I remember, yes, because he's like he's not an ordinary person. He was speaking, writing with such a love. I remember his lecture on Radhashtami, when I asked him how to get mercy of Srimad Radharani, and he told that I'm trying to get mercy of Srimad Radharani, and what I'm doing, I'm writing books, and I'm praying that somebody who reads this book, he will understand the glories of pure devotional service, and that will please Srimad Radharani. You see? So he was writing his books, his commentaries, in the mood of serving Srimad Radharani. Wow. Such a wonderful Vaishnava. Okay.
Another question, are we going to cover the whole book, like all the texts in this?
Yes.
We'll complete everything.
Yes, I hope so. And understand that I should go very, very fast because the book is big and there are a lot of very important points. So that's why it's going to be just an overview of Tattva-sandarbha. I would be happy to.
Are we going to go through?
Yes, we have.
We'll go through verse by verse, like reading every verse.
Yes. Or you have books. You can read it in your own time. But maybe I will be giving just some main points from each anucheda, most important points, and I will try to make them relevant to our spiritual life. How it can inspire us to serve Krishna in this way.
Thank you.
Yes.
Looking forward to it.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes. Vishalaksha Prabhu, please, your question. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Sarvajna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. Prabhu, thank you for the nice class, and some of them, I know, looks above my head, most of them. So I have a question, Prabhu, that the 6 sandarbhas looks like 10 roots or Dashamula, which is explained in Bhagavatam. So there is 10, but here is 6. So it looks like Dashamula also explained in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Okay. I understand, Prabhu. Yes, thank you. Actually, it's there. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he wrote his Dashamula Tattva, he used Prameya Ratnavari by Baladevi Bhushana, which on its own is based on Vyasatirtha's Navaprameya, his book written in Madhva Sampradaya. Navaprameya means most important tenets of Madhva Sampradaya, and he used it as a methodology how to put together Madhva Sampradaya and Gaudiya Sampradaya. And what he did, he just explained this 10 Dashamula Tattva, 10 topics, slightly different from what was how it was explained in Madhva Sampradaya. So, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he expanded this Prameya Ratnavari, and he gave some proofs from Srimad Bhagavatam, different books, and then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he wrote this book which is called Krishna. It's a topical study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna. Anyway, I will remember. So it's according to he grouped all the Srimad Bhagavatam verses according to Dashamula Tattva. Just I don't remember the name of the book. Anyway, so Dashamula Tattva is also, it has first first 9 are pramanas and 10 is prameya. Prameya means what is the source of knowledge. Same which Jiva Goswami does in Tattva-sandarbha. And then 9 things. And then out of those 9, we have 7 parts of Sambandha, then 8 Abhideya, and 9 Prayojana. So in the same way, same structure. But Jiva Goswami, he explained it. So basically, what was written in the Sandarbhas, it was condensed. As I say, the Navaprameya of Vyasatirtha was like a blueprint for Baladevi Bhushana. He took it as the basis, as a skeleton. Then he filled it with the meaning given by Jiva Goswami in Sandarbhas. So he embodied all the knowledge, he took all the knowledge from Sandarbhas, he condensed it, and he put it in this Prameya Ratnavari. And then Srila Baladevi Bhushana, he again, seeing that it's too condensed, he expanded it again from taking it from Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami. So in this way, Dashamula Tattva is there in Sandarbhas. All Sandarbhas are there in Dashamula Tattva, just different structure. The same knowledge is there. In Sandarbhas is extremely expanded. In Dashamula Tattva is very condensed, just main conclusions. Yes, but it's taken from the Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami. Yeah. Is it clear, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. It looks like a Bhagavatam only, but why Jiva Goswami is so kindly to write? Is there any specific reason to elaborate all this elaborately? He has written.
Yes. Basically, basically, Tattva-sandarbha is Shrimad Bhagavatam. Is Bhagavata. Bhagavata means about Bhagavan, and Bhagavata means based on Bhagavata, Shrimad Bhagavatam. So this is all taken from Shrimad Bhagavatam as the basis, as the main source of knowledge. And it just in Bhagavatam is continuous, verse by verse, and he took it from different parts of Shrimad Bhagavatam, topically. So basically it's the same Bhagavatam, but differently structured. It's not different from Bhagavatam. But moreover, it's explained so that we can understand the Bhagavatam like logically and like systematically. That's the importance of Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami.
Yes, Prabhu, you are telling your book of Bhaktivinoda Tagore is Bhakti Tattva?
No, it's a book. No. Just his. Anyway, I will remember about that. Yes.
Jaya Dharma.
No, not Jayavadharma. No. Different. Okay. Anyway, Jayavadharma also is the same book. Also, we have Sambandha Abhidaya Prayojana, same structure. Also taken from Jiva Goswami Sandarbhas, from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, like from basically whole philosophy, but structured in this way. So that's why different structure, but the same knowledge. Yes.
Yes, Prabhu. Another thing is that in Dasamala, the 10 tattva roots are discussed. But in Sandarbha, is generally we discuss 6. So is there any specific reason 6 means?
No. As I said that even in Dashamula Tattva, it's not 10. It's like 7 Sambandha, 8 Abhideya, and 9 Prayojana. And 10th is Prameya, is different. So that's why in Sandarbhas also we have first 4 Sandarbhas. It's Sambandha, same Sandarbha which is there in Dashamula Tattva in the first 7 verses. You see, 7 equate to 4. Then we have Bhakti Sandarbha which is equal to 8, and then we have Priti Sandarbha which is equal to 9, like this. Now is it clear, Prabhu? You understand?
It's somewhat little bit clear. Thank you.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you for raising this question, because I wanted to speak about that, but just you do it for me. Okay.
Thank you.
And we have also Advaita Krishna Prabhu. You have a hand raised. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you. I'm struggling a little bit because I in the sense that I want to establish in my mind, sort of a department so that I can understand what is the subject matter that is being dealt with Tattva-sandarbha. So what I understand, I can try to put it in my own words, and then you can correct me and complete my sort of picture I want to create. I feel that in this first part of the Sandarbha, of the Tattva-sandarbha, Jiva Goswami is dealing with pramanas. And then the second part he is dealing with prameya, which is the object of knowledge.
Yes.
And establishing the pramana, establishing actually Shrimad Bhagavatam as the best of pramanas, especially in our sampradaya, in our line. Then the third part is establishing Krishna as the object of worship. The second part, prameya, is establishing the object of knowledge. But in what part? And then the rest is Gopiparananda Prabhu explained that it establishes 6 things, and I'm struggling to present it in my mind. So first it try to establish pramana, and the best of pramana is actually Shrimad Bhagavatam. The second part is prameya, the object of knowledge. Krishna is the object of knowledge, and then it says that in the other part it establishes or introduces the other sandarbhas. Am I right, or can you complete it so that we can actually list, okay, this is what Tattva-sandarbha deals with?
Yes, Advaita Krishna Prabhu. I think I will start my next lesson to giving the structure of Tattva-sandarbha. I didn't do it today, so I will just give the table of context, and you will see what are the parts of Tattva-sandarbha. It will be easier for you to understand. So, but basically, yes, Tattva-sandarbha, two parts. Maybe I have made a mistake, like misusing this pramana, prameya. Yes, pramana kanda is the first part, and prameya kanda is the second part. Yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. I was wrong if I said it otherwise. Yes, and anyway, let's wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow I will explain everything. Yes, okay. So just Tattva-sandarbha in 2 words. It just first part is explanation how we know the things, and then second part is very, very short, very concise explanation what is the object of all the sandarbhas. So just like a trailer, you see, very, very short explanation. And then starting from Bhagavata-sandarbha, Jiva Goswami, he will explain very, very thoroughly what are the different conclusions of our philosophy.
I get it.
Yes.
So So basically, I can surmise now that you've been giving a general introduction to the sandarbhas and glorifying Lord Jiva Goswami and explaining the source of the knowledge and how it come about. Okay.
Yes.
If I can understand that. So
yes.
Because it was going to be too fast for me, so I'm trying to take notes and I couldn't frame them properly. So
Yes. My main goal for this lesson was to explain who Jiva Goswami is, what is there in sandarbhas, like his genius, and then most important, what is the methodology, how to understand sandarbhas. What is the main goal of sandarbhas? Why it's not just an academical knowledge, but it is bhakti knowledge, and how this philosophy can help us to understand rasa, understand Krishna more. That was the goal of this lesson. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna. So let us stop now. Thank you very much, dear devotees. I'm very much sorry for any mistakes. You see, actually, I'm very much embarrassed to speak in front of so many wonderful senior Vaishnavas. And as I said, it's not my native language. Like I used to teach before many years ago in our school, but it was a long time ago. So that's why, like, I think as I continue teaching, it will be easier for me. But now it's like first lesson, I was praying like anything to be able to put everything together. So if I make any mistake, please forgive me. Okay. Grantaraja Shri Tattva-sandarbha ki jai. Shri Jiva Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Sveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.